As we talk about attachment styles, we have secure attachment styles and also insecure attachment styles. In the insecure attachment styles, we have avoidant attachment styles, anxious attachment styles, and anxious avoidant attachment styles. And we will get to learn and understand them. And if a child can consistently rely on their parents to fulfill their needs, growing up, they are likely to develop a secure attachment style. How do they view relationships? As a safe space where they can express their emotions freely. On the other hand, insecure attachment styles develop if a child has a strained bond with their caregivers or parents. It happens when a child learns that they may not rely on other people for their basic needs and comfort. Tabitha Susan Wanjiku Njoroge is my name, a counseling psychologist by profession with an 8 years experience when it comes to professional counseling. I also advocate for mentorship when it comes to the youth. Any counseling issue that you require, be it adolescence, marriage, grief counseling, couple therapy, family therapy, reach out to us for more help. How does secure attachment develop? We have point number 1, feeling secure from your childhood with caregivers and being able to ask for reassurance, stroke validity without punishment. This is how a secure attachment actually develops. Because when you are able to do this and express yourself freely, you're going to feel safe, you will feel understood, you will feel comforted whenever you're going through something, you'll feel also valued during early childhood years and the interactions that you have at this particular stage. Also, secure attachment style develops when emotionally available and aware of your own emotions and behaviors as a caregiver. This awareness is actually very key and very important. And children tend to imitate or model the secure attachment that they were brought up with or they saw their caregivers given to them. So how do you know that you actually have a secure attachment? Number 1, you have the ability to regulate your emotions. And what is regulation? Regulation is whereby maybe in case you're feeling sad, you're able to calm yourself down, understand what is actually bringing that sadness, and move from that. Also, another sign of a secure attachment is you are easily able to trust others. You have effective communication skills. You have the ability to seek emotional support, because at times we find we are unable. But if you have an ability to seek that emotional support, that is a good sign to know that you have a secure attachment. You're also very comfortable being alone. You're comfortable in close relationships. You have the ability to self-reflect when it comes to relationships and the partners and the partnerships that you're forming around your circles. You're also able and easy to connect with people. And second last, you have the ability to resolve conflicts. And your esteem is also high. You believe in yourself, you value yourself highly, and you are also emotionally available. And how does this again trickle down? Because now we are talking about how does our attachment styles in our adulthood affect our romantic relationships. A study showed that many women score higher on anxiety, while the men score higher on avoidance when it comes to relationships. And when it comes to this attachment from the word attach, how do you relate? How were your interpersonal relationships when it came to you growing up? And how did those attachments affect you later on in life? And what do you need to do when it comes to you being an adult and you forming meaningful relationships in your circles? You need to, 1, understand where you've come from, know what informed what you're feeling and how you're behaving, and do something about it. If you feel it is insecure, we said we have good news. The good news is someone can change from insecure attachment styles and develop healthy and secure bonds in future relationships. So all is not lost. It is good to just be aware. It is good to know and work on those insecurities that you have for the betterment of your day-to-day life. Anxious avoidant style. Anxious can also be ambivalent. Ambivalent means 50-50. You are one moment okay, the next moment you're feeling anxious. And also you can also have an aspect of being preoccupied. What are the characteristics of anxious attachment style? We have the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment, and depending on a partner for validation. And validation is also maybe emotional regulation. You want them to affirm what you're saying or how you're feeling, and this can in turn bring about codependent tendency. Codependent means your feelings are pegged on how your partner is feeling. Remember, we mentioned that we're talking about how does our attachment style affect our adulthood and our romantic relationships. So how does our anxious attachment develop? Inconsistent parenting that isn't attuned to the child needs can result to this or can bring about the anxious attachment style. There's also the aspect of difficulty understanding caregivers, and you as a child tend to have no security for what to expect from your primary caregivers. You tend to be often confused by the parental relationship that you have, and a feeling of instability is also one of the ways in which it can develop. The care is also not consistent at this point. There are moments you may get what you need, you may get the basic needs, you may feel supported, you may feel validated, but there are days that is not possible. What are the traits of an anxious attachment style caregiver? They have alternated between overly coddling, and coddling means being overly overprotective, and being detached or indifferent. So the moment they will be overly overprotective, the next they are not even interested with what you're doing. They are also easily overwhelmed, sometimes attentive, and then they push you away and make you responsible for how they feel. In return, how do these children grow up? The children grow up feeling and thinking they are supposed to take care of other people's feelings, and often become codependent. And codependent is whereby they peg how they are feeling to how their caregivers are feeling. And this is also an unhealthy way of them expressing their emotions. And what are the signs of anxious attachment? We have clingy tendencies. You are overly clinging to your partner or the people who are around you. There is also an aspect of being highly sensitive to criticism, which can either be real criticism or perceived criticism. There's also a need to have approval from others all the time. And lastly, there's also a heightened jealousy tendency. Avoidant attachment style develops as a result of traits from the caregivers or the parents. And what are some of these traits that the caregivers may be portraying? They are outrightful, neglectful, but are simply too busy. They also tend to be slightly disinterested in your achievements and in your emotions and what you're going through, but are more concerned with the manners that you present, from the chores you do, the grades you present or bring home, and even the feelings and the fears that you're having around your community. In return, the children learn to adopt a strong sense of independence, so they don't rely on others for help. And just like we're talking about this and the signs that we have mentioned, you need that awareness so that you know what you need to work on. Signs of avoidant attachment style: we have persistent avoidance of intimacy, be it physically or emotionally. There's also a strong sense of independence. There's being uncomfortable to express your feelings. There's dismissiveness to others. There's hard time trusting people. There's also a feeling of being threatened when anyone tries to come close to you. You tend to spend more time with yourself and not with others. You believe you don't need others. There's also a problem with commitment. And lastly, when it comes to navigating relationships, you tend to navigate this relationship at arm's length. You don't want to get close to them. And there's an aspect of feeling stonewalled, a stone wall between you and your partner, and you're often dismissive when relationships tend to become serious. Thank you for tuning in to the space where we understand that it is okay to express how we feel. It is okay to know who we are. It is okay to unlearn, relearn, and unlearn the behaviors that have not worked in the past for the betterment of every day and better interactions in our future.